To anyone who is watching this video, I just want to say thank you. And secondly, that I hope this message reaches you in a way that is received, and I hope that you take it with you, and I hope it can resonate with you, and I hope that it can give you a light or a spark or a sense of hope in your faith, and however that looks like for you. Now, I recently attended a sermon where they had this message, and it was basically unfamiliar faith, having faith when you're in such an unfamiliar space. And as a 24-year-old woman, I've recently accepted Christ into my life, and it's been a beautiful journey. It's been a little bit nerve-wracking because I was never really like a super religious person. I never got into going to church every Sunday. I still don't go to church every Sunday, but when I do go, I absolutely love it. I love the church that I attend. I think I avoided church for a long time and Christians because I hated the corruption that the church instilled all over the world. It seemed that there was some form of corruption in any denomination of church. I grew up in Catholic churches, and so it wasn't very exciting as a kid to go to a Catholic church. And if I had my legs crossed or my arms crossed, I would be told that I need to uncross my arms or my legs. Whenever they would go up to like drink the wine, which I was never able to do because I never had my first communion or the little chip thing, there would be like a line of people ready to receive it. And my mom, I remember she didn't go. And I remember asking her like, why, like being a little kid and just being like, Mom, like, why aren't you up there? And she said, oh, it's because I'm divorced. I can't go. And so it was just this very judgy place. You're good, you're bad. If you do this, if you do that, like you're wrong to do this and you're right to do this. And so I didn't love what it stood for growing up. And so I was not really close to God or so heavy in my religion growing up and being in my teenage years and really into early adulthood until this last fall. And I always did believe in a higher power. I just never wanted to say like, it's God and I'm a Christian and I follow God. And it never felt right. It didn't sit right with me. But over the years, there were times when I absolutely did pray and I did acknowledge God and the Holy Spirit. And I started getting into a place and time in my life where I was like the furthest I'd ever been from God or from a higher power. And it wasn't until this fall when I really felt like I got a message or a sign that I should attend church. My mom slowly started getting back into her faith this past year too. There's a friend of the family who's really been into her faith, and that was never either of their stories in the prior years. And so seeing these two women in my life who I looked up to and who I loved so dearly start getting into their faith, it started making me think like, oh, this is probably something to look into. And I was on TikTok and I would see, these girls with their Bibles, and I was like, that looks like fun. So whether I was doing it at the time to like fit in or feel some sort of belonging, I bought my first Bible. And it just kind of sat in my room for a little bit. I didn't really touch it or open it. I had no idea where to start. And I just want to quickly tell the story about the church, and then we can get back into the message that I want to try to convey today. And I just want to preface this also by saying like this is very out of my comfort zone to do a video like this because I am such a new Christian, it feels like, and I haven't read the Bible. I've read parts of the Bible and I'm still reading it, and I don't attend every Sunday. I haven't been a faithful follower for years and years like a lot of Christians have. So I don't have that, but I just want to share my journey as someone who's recently accepted Christ back into, I guess you could say, into my life. But really it just feels like such a renewed experience this time around because I've chosen to pursue Christ, not necessarily like being a child and being dragged to Sunday services at the Catholic churches. So anyways, I had been praying for a while to find like a sense of community or just friends because I don't really have friends. And that's just a dilemma that I've had for a while. And whether that is a choice of my own or decisions, a series of decisions that have led to this in my life, I know for a fact that I've just been praying for community and belonging. And I decided to go to a yoga class one day. And the instructor had said, if anyone wants to go out for bagels after class, because this yoga studio was in a marketplace, and so there was a bagel shop next door. She said, if anyone wants to join me for bagels, like, we can do that after this class. And I was like, this is perfect. I like to go to yoga to do yoga, but also in hopes of mingling and meeting people and getting friends that way. So I thought this was perfect, and she seemed to be my age range. So we met up and we talked, and we started talking about faith a little bit. And I was telling her how I bought my first Bible and that I'm really nervous and I haven't been to church in years. And so I'm just not sure exactly what this new path in my life is going to look like, or if it's even going to unfold at all. So she starts telling me about a church that she attends here in Denver. And she made it very clear that this church is, it's non-denominational. I mean, I guess it's rooted in Christianity, but it's non-denominational is how she said that. And she said that it's a very open space. It's very non-traditional. It's not what you'd expect from the Catholic churches or traditional churches. And it's very inclusive. And she said they have a motto. They have a saying. It's a part of their mission statement, actually. And it goes like this. It says, we are just a bunch of imperfect, messed up people looking to pursue a perfect God. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, to acknowledge, for a church to acknowledge that we are imperfect and we're messed up. And we're just looking to pursue this God. To pursue God. And so I thought, okay, that's interesting. That makes me feel a little bit like more open to the idea of even attending church. As mentioned before, I always felt like churches were very judgmental and corrupt, and I wanted nothing to do with it. And I just didn't want to support something that I feel like didn't support me or the people in my life. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. Later that day, my family friend, who I mentioned earlier, has been really on her faith journey. She came over to visit later that day after I had yoga and breakfast with my instructor. So she comes over to the house, and not the instructor, the family friend. She comes over to the house, and we were talking about faith a little bit, and I told her that I got a new Bible, and I said, come up to my room. I want to show you this Bible. It's really cute. It has flowers. It looks like it's hand painted. It's so pretty. And so she comes up to my room. We're talking, and she invites me to go to church with her. And I was like, I don't know. I was, kind of having a conversation about it earlier. I'm not sure yet that I'm fully sold on this or that I want to even attend church. And she said, well, Claudia, at my church, we're just a bunch of imperfect, messed up people looking to pursue a perfect God. And chills all over my body. I literally froze. I look at her and I was like, you did not just say that. She looked very confused because obviously she didn't know what I had experienced earlier that day. I said, you did not just say that. I said, there's no way in hell that you just said that. And I explained to her what had happened earlier. And she's like, Claudia, this is your sign. And I really do feel like it was my sign, because what are the chances that twice in one day from a complete stranger and someone that I have known and loved dearly for years now in my life would recommend the same church. And they didn't both say the name of the church. They both said the mission statement or their motto, right? Which was that little phrase. And I thought, there's no way. What? So I said, okay, this is my sign. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. And I felt so confident in my decision in that moment when I heard my friends say that. And so she tells me the name of the church. And maybe 2 weeks later, I go by myself. I'm so nervous walking into this church, but I heard like everyone's super friendly. Everyone is there to welcome you with, open arms. Everyone is there, to support and worship Christ. So I go in and there's just like this feeling in me where I feel like I don't belong here. I don't know these people. I don't know the things that these people know. I don't worship the way these people. I don't know anything about religion and Christianity. And so I go and they start having worship. So music and this whole band. It felt like a concert. And it was such a beautiful, moving experience because I'd never experienced worship like that in a church before. And I was just in tears. And the message starts and they're talking about, it's the end of the year. So they're in this series where they're kind of recapping what they've been able to do for families and local communities and organizations that they've been able to support. And they're kind of showing on the screen all of these different organizations. And I loved hearing about it. And I was so moved. And the pastor, everyone there was just so humble, so casual too. Everyone was so casual. You had a few people that were dressed and, who get dressed for church, which is understandable. But even the pastor, hoodies, jeans, like it's just very, very chill, so non-traditional, so not what I expected. And I just loved my whole experience. I remember texting my friend and being like, I did it. And she was really excited for me and wanted me to reach out to her after the service to let her know what I thought. And so I did. And I told her that I loved it and that I'll be back. And the people there were so friendly that I was able to mingle with a little bit and talk to. Everyone was so kind and just, it felt so like there's no pressure to kneel, stand up, have my communion to receive this. And there's none of that at this church. You worship, you sing songs that are actually really fun, really catchy. You sit down, you hear a message, and then you worship at the end again. And it was amazing. It was just so, so amazing. And I've really been excited to be in this new chapter. Now, there's a lot that comes with that when you accept Christ into your life. You have friends, you have family, you have peers, you have acquaintances who have their own opinions and views about the church and about Christianity and about God. And that's completely 110%. That's totally fine. Everyone is entitled to that. I was on the other side of this. I've been on both sides of this now, I can say. And so it can get scary. It can feel like, oof, this person really does not like this thing that I'm pursuing. I feel like when you become the light and when you start to embody the light in things and in your life and the light of God, darkness tends to kind of follow and try to break you down and break you out of your spirit and your shell. And I see it a lot. I see a lot of broken people. I see a lot of lost souls. I see a lot of that. And I have a job that requires me to be very social. I interact with hundreds of people in a day for my job. And a lot of jobs do that. This one is very unique because you're just face to face and very, you got to be on all the time. And I love my job and I'm so blessed for it. But it's really taught me that there are people who are lost or who are hurt. And they will intentionally or unintentionally try to cast those demons out, cast that dark energy out. They just kind of exude this darkness, this negativity, and I've had to really learn how to separate myself from that and how to not take those things personally, because I consider myself an HSP, a highly sensitive person. And I think part of that sensitivity is to other people's energies. So when I'm interacting with new coworkers for the first time, when I'm interacting with new customers for the first time, there's a lot of different energies that circulate through and that I come into contact with every single day. And I have noticed that when I feel very light and bubbly and excited and just, I've always just wanted to be positive, and I've always wanted people to be, I want the best for people. I want the best for myself. And we live in such a world and such a time where people are not that. People are not good. People, which is all circumstantial, obviously. People have reasons that they're in these positions. But I have to think about myself at the end of the day and say, if I can just be an ear to this person, if I can make this person smile, if I can do anything for this person outside of myself for just a moment, I know that I've done right, and I feel like I've done by God to do something like that. And I just want to spread that, and I just want to help heal people. And I think there's a lot of brokenness out there, and a lot of hurt, and a lot of disappointment, and a lot of anger. I mean, 9 times out of 10, when I'm just listening to conversations of people, whether I'm sitting on the bus going to work or whatever, it's a lot of complaining. It's a lot of, this fucking job is so great, isn't it? This is so like, wow, oh my God, the perks of this job, am I right? Oh my God. And I'm like, okay. And people are totally fair to feel how they feel. I wish I could help those people. I wish I could speak to people in their soul and say, I'm so sorry you're hurting the way that you are. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have bad days or downsides, or see downsides to my job or to downsides of anything. Obviously, I have days where I'm extremely negative, so I totally understand it. But I think negativity can reside in a person and just fester. And there's a fine line between festering negativity and a bad day. There really is, and you can really tell which people are going through what. And this is where my unfamiliar faith has to kick in. I have to have faith and trust in God. The only way you can trust someone or know if you can trust someone is to trust them. That's point blank. Like, that is the only way you can know for a fact if someone is trustworthy or something is trustworthy. Trust it and see what happens. And I've had to put so much of my faith and trust into God during times when I felt like, God, like, why did you put me on this earth? Why did you put me in such a time when everyone is so miserable and angry and bitter and violent and broken and lost? I feel like my light is a bad thing. There's been so many times when I feel like, because I'm happy and grateful and blessed and I can see that and I acknowledge it every day, I feel like that's a bad thing. I feel like people look at me like, how dare you be so happy and so blessed? And I really feel like that sometimes from people. And I don't ever want people to feel like I think that I'm better than them or that I'm better off than them, because at the end of the day, that's probably not true. I don't know their circumstances and they don't know mine, but it's really hard to be a highly sensitive person in a world that is just so cutthroat. And one thing that I've embraced a lot lately, it's like this phenomenon when I'm around people who are like very blank in the face and very just like, get me out of here. And I'm very like feeling so grateful and blessed that I even woke up today and that I get to go to my job. I can tell it kind of maybe rubs them the wrong way or irks them or annoys them. That's probably true. But I feel so light when I embody just how happy I can be as a person in a world where that is so rare and hard to come by. I mean, it's just like confounding. It's like, what? And I hope I'm articulating this okay. Getting back on YouTube is really scary to think about for me, but another thing that scares me is that I have a hard time articulating what I want to say because I want to convey a certain message and I want it to come out a specific way. And I want to say that if you feel like you are someone who is a light, you know in your heart that you're a beacon of light, and you are able to find positivity and gratitude in your heart, and you know that you are blessed even just to wake up or to have air in your lungs and a beating heart, because we all have something to be grateful for. Don't even for a moment let someone who is hurting, don't let that hurt seep into your spirit and your heart and your soul. I think it's a blessing and a curse in a way to embody that light. And where I think it's kind of a curse is you're going to feel like people are just trying to break your spirit. You're going to feel like the world is so against you and you don't belong or fit in to a world that is so damned. But we do. And I think it's people like us, people who have a light, people who can see past the trials and tribulations of everyday life and know that these are just blessings. These are things I get to experience in my life. I really think it can feel like a cursing when we realize I'm supposed to help people, even if they don't want it, even if they don't want me to help them, even if they hate the fact that I'm trying to help them, even if I don't want to help them. I think there's something in our hearts that say, that's a broken person. And don't judge it. Don't judge it. If there's anything you can do to turn this person's day around or make them smile or make them feel some sense of hopefulness, do it. And I think it's so frustrating because we see what retaliation looks like in the world. We see what revenge looks like. And sometimes it's nice to... sometimes we think like, okay, they're treating me this way or they're feeling this way to me. Let me give them right back to them. Let me give it right back to them. And I understand that pull and I understand that feeling. But to me, when I follow through with those revenge tactics or whatever, that never sits good with my spirit and my heart. Never. And you might think like, oh, then you probably let X, Y, and Z happen. You let this happen. No. I'm learning to set boundaries in my life. I'm learning to stand up for myself when I know that I've been blatantly disrespected. I know how to say and speak up for things that I want. But I'm not going to stoop down to someone's level because, two wrongs don't make a right. And I refuse to do anything that does not sit well in my spirit because at the end of the day, it's not you that has to deal with that. It's me who has to deal with that. And it's going to be you who has to deal with it when you also stoop down to someone else's level. And I'm not going to say that I'm perfect and I never do that. But I can tell you for a fact that does not sit well in my spirit, and I'm not going to live a life where my spirit does not feel good, where my spirit feels tainted and dark and contaminated. That's not the life that I choose. I want to have a good, clean spirit. And I think I've realized over the years that God was always kind of waiting for me to realize that acknowledging what he did for me, seeing all the blessings in my life that I have because of him, I can surrender myself to him and say, thank you. I don't want to follow my plan. I want to follow your plan. God, I know you have a plan in store for me. I know that you're looking out for me because I've seen all of the blessings that you've given me in my life. Every obstacle, every challenge, everything that I thought I could never overcome, I've overcame it. And tenfold. I've grown. I'm so resilient as a person. If I go through something hard, I know that I'm going to get back up and be like 10 times stronger and wiser. And I'm just going to be so much more equipped for the next time that a big challenge comes into my life. I know that God always has a plan, even if we don't understand it, even if we don't believe it. It's having unfamiliar faith in times that feel scary, in times that feel like so uncertain. I'm uncertain if God's going to answer this prayer. I'm uncertain if he's going to hear me. I'm uncertain if he's real. But the only way you know you can trust something or someone is to trust it. And I have trusted God with so many challenges and obstacles in my life. I can say that I got myself through it. And yeah, there's work that I've put into my life to get to where I am, to be mentally healthy, to be wise, to be equipped in this world so that I'm resilient every time I feel like I've been knocked down. Yeah, I'm not going to discredit where I've put in my own work, but I really feel like my strength to do all that comes from God, because I see more often than not broken people who are just at their lowest point and they don't know how to get back up. And I think to myself, well, why is it any different for me that I can be so resilient, get back up, pray, understand what the message is and what the lesson of this experience in my life was. But this person is so broken and they're deteriorating. I don't know how to say that word, from the inside. And I really think that that's God working through me. And I love to help people. I love to give advice to people. I love to heal people. And my message today is for all of us who feel like we have a light in us in a world that feels so dark, but this world is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, the experiences I've had, the feelings I've felt, the blessings that God has given me in my life and will continue to give me in my life. Life is not just meant to be lived mediocre and without some sort of message and purpose. And I think that purpose, I will always say that purpose is to choose and to find love. I mean, how many times have you been to a grocery store and you just get mean mugged for no reason? How many times you're just in public, and how many times you're driving and someone flips you off? How many times you're driving? Like, imagine if we lived in a world where we really did love our neighbor, or we really did just have like this core inner understanding that you're a person and you have feelings, and I hope that you're doing okay as a person. And I hope that you're getting all the blessings, and I hope that all your prayers are coming true, and I hope that you're healed of your sicknesses. People are so desensitized. People are so broken. People are so lost. People are so quick to judge, to assume. How's that working out for you? How's your quality of life? How's your spirit? How does your spirit feel? How does the inside of you feel? Those are the questions that you're going to look back at when you're at the end of your life. Hopefully you have a long life. But when you're at the end of that life, what are you thinking about? What are the regrets you have? What are the silly things that you're like, why did I do that? Why did I waste my energy on this? Why did I let that consume me for so long? You have to play it in reverse. Think now. What am I going to think to then that I don't want to be thinking about? What am I going to think to then that I'm going to be proud to think about and look back on? And making this video is very scary to me because, again, I feel like Christianity, or just being a follower of God, is very controversial. And I think if it's a path you want to pursue, you should pursue it. It's your life. It's your spirit. And if you try it and it doesn't make your spirit feel good, that's your story. That's your experience. I know that I've chosen God, and I know that my spirit feels so clean and so renewed and so light because I've started talking to God. You don't have to go to church to be a Christian. You don't have to read the Bible to be a Christian even. But I think if you have your own relationship with God, you will see that He is listening to you and He's there for you, and He will answer your prayers if you believe it and if you accept Him to do those things. I'm so saddened that so many people believe Christianity or religion or faith has to be one thing. And it's so unfortunate that humans have just tarnished what religion and what being a follower of Christ is really about. And it's about love, and it's about choosing Him, trusting Him, living a life of love and light, and wanting that for other people, and wanting to share love with other people, and loving other people, and loving God. If you don't believe in God, maybe this message is just like in one ear and out the other, and that's your experience. That's your experience. I'm not here to say that you're wrong. I'm not here to say that you should reconsider things, because that's your experience. And I think that having a belief in God is like the ultimate thing you could believe in. There's nothing higher than that. There's nothing higher than that. And so I understand if someone is hesitant about making that leap of faith in Christ. I understand. I really, really do. The last thing I would ever want to come off as is judgmental, or like I'm forcing someone to do something they don't want to do. No, I want to target this message to people who just resonate with it. And if that's you, then I'm so happy that you've listened to this message. And I just want to ask that you take a moment to think about it, and to think about what you want. Think about how you want to live your life. Just think about it, and then make adjustments to where you think, this is where I can be happy in my life. This is where I can be at peace. This is where I can find love. Not in the material things, not in the possessions, not for me. Not for me. If material possessions really do bring you peace, then think about that. Think about that. Think about where that comes from. I've done so much inner work and self-reflection in my life. I mean, I've done therapy for years. I've done therapy for years. I've done lots of self-reflection and evaluating, what type of person do I want to be? What type of world do I want my child to grow up in? Do I even want kids? And I'm bringing these questions up because all of those, the answer to all of those things, you have the power to influence. Do I want to have children in a world where there's so much brokenness and darkness and evil? If I ever have children, I want them to be so well equipped. I want them to know that they can speak up for themselves. I want them to have a parent who is mentally strong, emotionally intelligent, and who's not going to pass down generational trauma and inconsistencies. I want to be there in the best way that I can be for my child, so they can grow up saying that they had a healthy attachment to their parent and that they had a wonderful childhood and that they learned that it's okay to have wants and needs and it's okay to speak up for themselves. And I want them to find Christ for themselves. That's not something I would even want to necessarily push onto my child, because when I grew up that way, I didn't really understand what I was worshiping. And I became very distant from my religion. But I found my way back. I did. And I'm so happy I did. And I recently attended my first Bible study. And it was so much fun, and I loved it, and I can't wait to not finish reading the Bible, but like to keep going, to keep reading the Bible, to keep going to these Bible study classes. Like I had so much fun. It was at our friend's house, and it was just like a small little group of us girls, and it was amazing. And Kevin, we love you, Kevin. Kevin's such a great teacher. But yeah. I used to hide my light all the time. I used to think it was cool to also be like shitting on everything the way everyone else does. Ugh, this and that. Yeah, well, at least she doesn't blah, blah, blah. I'm so tired of it. I'm a very happy person. I'm a very grateful person. I'm a very blessed person. And I don't want to hide that for anything or anyone. I don't need to. I don't have to. And just because that might make someone feel mixed on the inside or conflicted on the inside, that is for them to figure out. And they will. They will. If they want to. Not everyone wants to, and I've realized that. I've realized that people look for conflict. People look for problems rather than solutions. And that's when I step back and say that is all you. I was that person. I've seen that person. I don't want to say I was that person, because I really wasn't always. There absolutely have been depressive episodes and feel like I've had anger issues from time to time, but that's when I let those things consume me. And I realized that's not how I want to live my life. I am excited. I see the good in a lot of things that people could never or don't or refuse. People choose to not see the good. People choose these things. People choose their lives. People choose their lives. I'm just so happy that and blessed that I've been given the brain and the mental capacity and the heart and the spirit to live the life that I want to live. And I want my channel to be centered around that, centered around my heart and my spirit. When I did videos in the past, gosh, I was just trying to be so cool and just fit in, and I think I always felt kind of outcast a little bit, or just kind of like, I'm a little bit different from people my age. I mean, I'm 24. I'm not, how many 24-year-olds are thinking about some of the things I think about? I've always felt different. Oh my gosh, these dogs keep farting, and it's like lethal. I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm actually kind of angry about it. Oh my gosh. Well, this felt very vulnerable, if I'm honest. Am I scared to read the comments? Yeah, which is exactly why I'm not going to read the comments of this video. And you know what? That's a conscious decision I'm making. I've recently not purged. I don't know if that's the right word. I recently fasted social media, and my goodness, was that a really good decision to make. I would literally have nights where I was scrolling on TikTok and it would just end in tears because of how disappointed I felt in humanity and in the world. And I said, nope, I don't choose that. I don't choose that. And I think Instagram was like one of the biggest for comparing myself and feeling like just bad and like I wasn't doing much with my life or that I wasn't doing enough. And I'm so tired of feeling that way. And I have made so much peace with the progress that I have made in my life, which is a lot. Yes, it is. And even if it's not the pace that I want it to be or as much progress as I want it to be, I've made progress, period. And I'm really happy and proud about that. So anyways, it feels good to be back on my YouTube channel and with a message that I believe in wholeheartedly. And I really, really hope that it didn't come off in a way that would give people a bad taste about me. And even if it does, then this is not for you. And you were not meant to watch my videos. This will find the right people. And I'm excited for you and for me and for us. And we'll see where this goes. If you made it this far, thank you so much. That's crazy because I literally started with like a note of what this video was going to be, which I didn't even get to really. It's titled Peace, Gratitude, Comparison, and the Works. And then I was really frustrated because I took like 5 attempts to record a video and just my mind went blank and I couldn't think of a word to say. And so I stopped to listen to a video about a girl speaking about her. She was conveying a message from God that she felt she needed to say to her viewers. And I watched it and it was very moving and it made me realize, okay, maybe this is my sign that I need to talk about my faith for my first video on here. Because I think that's a great foundation for starting this channel. Yes, it will be rooted in my faith. It will be rooted in God. God is always, going to be number one in my life. And I never thought I would say that. Like, this is still very new to me. I went to church. It's February 2025. I went to church November of 2024. So this is still very new, very nerve-wracking. But I have so much confidence and so much faith in God, so much trust in God. Even on the days when I feel doubtful, I know that God is right there. So anyways, again, if you made it this far, thank you so much. I want to do more videos. If you have any suggestions or like this type of video, I don't know what, I mean, I guess it's like podcast style. I just wanted to sit down and talk because I feel like there's just a message that I needed to get across today. And I wanted to speak that message to someone who needs to hear it. So hopefully the message is received. I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.